Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy was on the Sean Hannity program last night, where he dropped his most explicit hint yet that the House may be opening up an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. Let's take a look at the video.
When President Biden was running for office, he told the American public that he's never talked about business. He said his family has never received $1 from China, which we now proved is not true. We now have some of the most credible whistleblowers. These 10-year IRS agents who have come forward said that the Biden family has been treated differently, that what Weiss has told us is different than what Garland and Weiss has told the public. And you're sitting here today where now you have found millions of foreign money, just what the 1023 alleges they did to Biden's family. Now we found that it has funneled through shell companies. If you're sitting in our position today, we would know none of this if Republicans had not taken the majority. We've only followed where the information has taken us. But Hannity, this is rising to the level of impeachment inquiry, which provides Congress the strongest power to get the rest of the knowledge and information needed.
Okay, so you hear even McCarthy hedging today in a press conference. Impeachment inquiry doesn't necessarily mean an impeachment follows. Yeah, right. It's looking like they're getting ready to impeach him right around the time in the election cycle when the Democrats impeached Donald Trump. They impeached him, December, January into February of 2020. By the time this actually happens, it'll probably be early to mid-fall. So right around that same time heading into an election season. They certainly have a lot to run with this time. Last time the impeachment that the Democrats attempted on Trump obviously failed, as everybody knew it would. But, all of those narratives went out the window once the pandemic hit. So we really never got a sense of just how damaging that was going to be to Donald Trump's election campaign. It's very unclear, I think, how this will impact the campaign, whether this will hurt Biden or not. But what I could just say, beyond the horse race stuff, which is the least interesting part of the story to me, this just shows part of the destructiveness of the Trump era. And I don't just mean Donald Trump. I mean the Democratic response to Donald Trump. We are now in the phase of this country where we just normalize going nuclear on the other side, right? Where anytime the out party senses foul play, which is going to be every time, because presidents don't get to be president by being nice, right? By coloring inside the lines.
What about Truman?
Right, exactly.
He was a haberdasher.
He's a haberdasher. That's right.
They
don't make him like that anymore.
with a fondness for nuking Asian people.
Exactly. They don't make them like that anymore. So, look, this is the new normal. This is the unraveling of a democratic system, and we're there. We're now in it. We are now in it. And that's kind of what I have to say about this. It looks like they are going to pull the trigger on impeachment. The Republican majority, I don't think really wants to do this or feels it necessary to do this. I think that, this is what happens when a small minority leverages their power and bends leadership to their will. You got the sense early on that this was something that the Freedom Caucus really wanted, and looks like they're going to get it. And we'll see what happens. Like, I don't know what the effect of this will be, but I don't think you come on TV and fire a shot across the bow like that unless you plan to follow through.
You're probably right. And as cooler-headed observers pointed out when they kept prosecuting Trump, the Republicans are almost certainly going to prosecute you when they have the power to do so. Now you have established a precedent. Now, it's interesting with the Democrats, they are willing to defy convention as long as it's of no meaningful political consequence, particularly to their donors, because they are absolutely refusing to repeal the filibuster, right? That would be another nuclear options, similar to not just once, but repeatedly impeaching a president. Previously, they didn't do that because it was understood what it would lead to. That if you keep doing these kinds of political prosecutions, even if there's some merit, there's merit with all of them. You could find a basis to impeach all of them. So once they opened that door with the pretense that Donald Trump was somehow qualitatively different from his predecessors, and if anything, the fact that they never did this to Bush puts the lie to that, because Donald Trump was far better than George Bush, who's finger painting as we speak. They're doing portraits of his victims, as I like to think of them. So you want to break these conventions? You want to break these gentlemen's agreements, these old collegiate Senate conventions? Why don't you get rid of the filibuster? You wouldn't even overrule a fucking Senate parliamentarian to get a $15 minimum wage, but you decided to break this convention because you didn't see a downside. Well, the downside is this. Now they're going to impeach your president. And you know what? It's not baseless. It's not groundless.
No, of course
you
not.
could argue they have better evidence and better grounds to impeach Biden than they had to impeach Trump. So now what are you going to do? How are you going to talk your way out of this? How are you going to say, "Oh my God, they're completely breaking the norms and guardrails"? You broke them first. You broke them first. Now you normalized this.
Of course. And, these Biden financial ties are to countries that come up a lot now in terms of global affairs, right? China, Ukraine, right? I mean, come on. We're talking about World Wars III and IV and potential conflicts of interest on both sides of those, in each separate case. So, of course, there's a base for it. Paul Chu says, I feel like you're downplaying Biden's actual corruption. No, not at all. All we're saying is that there's a history of people in power sort of looking the other way on most of this stuff, and now that has been broken.
Under the premise of very much like the premise that they ostensibly used to not repeal the filibuster. Well, if we get rid of the filibuster, then they're going to be able to use those tactics against us. It was always the same logic for why you don't frivolously impeach a president. They decided to throw all that out the window with Donald Trump. I think they got drunk on their own Russiagate MSNBC propaganda. And, they just didn't really think through the consequences. I think they got caught up in their own breathless walls are closing in 24-hour-a-day cable news cycle bullshit, even though it was quite obvious if you had thought about it for 5 seconds. Well, as soon as the Republicans have Congress, they're going to impeach your president.
Absolutely. No question about it.
Please clap.